UGLY for the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend had no alibi. It was ugly. What? It was ugly. Yeah. My mama said it was ugly. Only game where the offense showed up, they blew a huge lead, and they now limp into Miami to face the hottest team in baseball.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Yes, indeed. Locked On the Toronto Blue Jays have been for quite some time in my life. Still have a lot of faith in what the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays can accomplish. But, and truth be told, there's been a lot of winning. There's been a lot more winning than losing going on recently. But boy, oh boy, to the mind's eye and how you feel about things, is that how it seems right now? Probably not. And I get it. Definitely want to say hello and shout you out if you are taking in the Locked On Blue Jay podcast today on YouTube. Hit that like, drop that comment, hit that subscribe. To the everydayers taking in this as a podcast, making the Locked On Blue Jay podcast your first podcast listen every day. Certainly want to thank you there. Quick reminder that the Locked On Blue Jay podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. That's your team every day. And also want to remind you that every Toronto Blue Jay game, you can catch that on Sirius XM. Today, Monday, let's get the Locked On Blue Jay week started. In the first segment, we're going to deep dive what we've seen so far on this road trip and from the Toronto Blue Jays on the road in general so far this season. Second segment, let's get set for the Jose Berrios Day. In 2022, we had Alek Manoah's days, right? Well, 2023, Berrios has been so awesome. I think maybe we need to institute Jose Berrios days, maybe Gosman days as well. And the final segment we'll be joined again by Blue Jay champion Rob Butler. We're going to close out that all-Canadian team of Canadians who have played for the Toronto Blue Jays. Oh boy, this road trip. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now remember this road trip right now is at 2-4. This is a 9-game road trip. The last 9-game road trip the Blue Jays have was that 3-6 debacle. Remember through Boston, they ended up sweeping Pittsburgh in that series. Remember that? But still, the rest of it was just so ugly. So I'm really hoping that the Blue Jays can get 2 out of 3 in Miami for a respectable 4-5 trip this time around. Let's jump into what have we seen so far in this road trip from the offense. Oh boy, not much, right? Some guys are performing. Not necessarily at the top of the lineup where George Springer's 7 for 24, Bo Bichette 7 for 24. Now, Bo has had a hit in every game on this road trip and overall on the road this season. Bo is 60 for 176. That's a 341 batting average. Wow. So overall, we have to like what we've seen with Bo. On the road for George Springer this season, though, 38 for 158. That's a 241 batting average. Certainly need George Springer to pick things up at the top of that lineup. A lot of lineup shuffling going on right now, but you'll notice George Springer's spot hasn't changed at all. Need him to get going. Need him to be the catalyst at the top of this lineup. Speaking of a catalyst that needs to get going, how about Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Just 6 for 24 on this road trip. Now, overall, 49 for 155 on the road, and all 9 of his home runs have been on the road. So that's a 316 batting average with all 9 of his home runs so far on the road. So on this road trip, Vlad needs to pick it up a bit defensively as well, right? What have we seen so far? Defensively, Vlad needs to pick it up as well on this road trip, but offensively needs to pick it up on this road trip, yes. But overall on the road so far this season, we have to like what we've seen from Vlad. At home, we know that's a different story. Matt Chapman. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What do we say about Matt Chapman here? 4 for 19 on this road trip, 41 for 152 on the road. Now that's a 270 batting average on the road. So on the surface, we like that, right? But I can already hear you yelling at the screen, Craig, that was all April. He's been a nightmare since. You're so right. Matt Chapman is hitting 162 since May 1st. It's June 19th. That's over a month and a half ago. We're coming up on 7 weeks of play. Matt Chapman hitting 162. Absolutely incredible. Dalton Varsho. Okay, here's some good news, right? Dalton Varsho, 7 for 21 on the road trip, has a home run. Overall this season, he's hitting 279 on the road, and I want to shout him out because on this particular road trip, he's raised his batting average by 9 points. So the arrow, there's so few Blue Jay batters who have their arrow pointed upwards. Dalton Varsho is one of those batters. Alejandro Kirk, oh boy, he only had 3 hits on the road trip, all singles. Who knows how long he's going to be out for? Well, at the time of taping this, don't know how long he's going to be out for, so we'll have to evaluate and see there. Danny Jansen is back. Just 5 for 20 on this road trip, but 3 of those 5 hits were big home runs. Big old home runs, right? So hopefully Danny Jansen turning the corner as well. I mean, yes, the glass half empty is that gives Jansen 9 home runs on the season, the same as Vlad. How did that happen? And another glass half empty over the last, I believe it's over the last month. Danny Jansen has 3 home runs, all from he was out for 3.5 of those weeks, right, of the month. Came back, he's got those 3 home runs. Well, over that same time span, over that same last month, Vlad and Chapman have combined for 3 home runs. Holy, and Vlad and Chapman are hitting in the middle of this lineup. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! How about 2-hit Witt? Well, 8 for 22 on the road trip. He's had a hit in every single game. Whit Merrifield hitting .312 on the road for the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays. He continues to get it done. Kevin Kiermaier. Oh boy. Kiermaier thinks flying under the radar a little bit right now because so many Blue Jays are struggling, and he himself has had some injuries, right? So that could explain why he's scuffling, but he is absolutely scuffling. 2 hits on this road trip. That's 2 for 19. He's 0 for at least his last 12. It might even be 13. On the road this season, that's brought his road batting average all the way down to 268. I mean, overall, wouldn't we take a 268 from Kevin Kiermaier to go along with that defense? Because we talk about Vlad's defense has scuffled along with the bat. Well, Kiermaier's defense hasn't scuffled along with his bat. He continues to be stellar out there in center field. And how about on the mound? How about the Hound on the mound? Oh my goodness. Chris Bassitt on this road trip. He won't get another start on this road trip. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but thank goodness. And I say I can't believe it because I'm a Chris Bassitt fan. But he's had 2 starts on this road trip. He's totaled 6 2/3 innings. I mean, 6 2/3 in 1 start. That's pretty standard for Chris Bassitt. He's had 6 2/3 total in his 2 starts on this road trip. 13 earned runs on 18 hits. 6 2/3 innings, 13 runs. 18, it's actually 15 runs, but only 13 are earned on 18 hits. 6 2/3 innings, 18 hits. There's 4 walks in there too. Chris Bassitt, unrecognizable, getting hammered, especially by lefties. Holy moly, getting hammered on this road trip. On this road trip, Bassitt has added almost a full run to his ERA. My goodness. Coming up on the Locked On Blue Jay podcast, we'll deep dive tonight's pitching matchup. Reminder, you can catch this game on SiriusXM. And in our third and final segment, more with Rob Butler as we close out the all-Canadian team of Canadians who have played for the Toronto Blue Jays. We're on the closer spot, right? We're closing out with the closer. I wonder if you can guess who the best Canadian-born closer that's ever pitched for the Toronto Blue Jays would be, but it's still interesting to get Rob's insight on that. Now, first, I wanted to mention that for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. Well, it's the same when it comes to your vehicle, right? Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part fits right the first time around. You just add your ride to the My Garage and look for the green check to know your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop on eBay Motors, over 122 million parts to choose from, you're going to be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Now, get the right parts, get the right fit, get the right prices. That's at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Toronto Blue Jays head into Florida, take on the Miami Marlins, and formerly the Florida Marlins, right now the Miami Marlins. All-time, Blue Jays just 17-21. They've got a losing record all-time versus the Marlins organization. Now, the Marlins won 17 of the first 21 games between the Marlins and the Blue Jays. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays, they're the hot ones here. Not playing baseball right now. The Florida Marlins right now, or the Miami Marlins, are the hot ones right now. But in this series, Blue Jays Marlins, it's the Blue Jays who are hot. They've won 13 of the last 17 games in this matchup. That includes winning all 4 between these two the last time these two teams got together, which was back in 2021. I believe overall, in fact, Blue Jays have won 5 straight games going back to, I think it's 2018 over the Miami Marlins. Now, the Blue Jays have won 7 of the last 10 at that's now called Lone Depot Park. Now, the last time they were in Miami, again, that 2021, they swept that 2-gamer 2-1 and then 3-1. That was a gem by Stripling in the first game and a gem by Robbie Ray in the second game. Now, poor offense, including being dominated by Santi Alcantara, who is the finale starter. He's going to go for the Marlins on Wednesday. He's been unrecognizable this season, almost like Alek Manoah, right? So hopefully the Blue Jays can get to Alcantara, as many teams have on this season, right? Not in the past, but on Wednesday, hopefully the Jays can get to Sandy. But that offense is just going to fit right in, right? I mean, this offense would fit right in with that 2021 offense, scoring 2 and then 3 runs. Oh my goodness. The last Blue Jay home run in this ballpark in Miami was Lourdes. That was back on September 2nd, 2020. And prior to that was Teo back in 2018. So not a lot of power has been happening for the Toronto Blue Jays in this ballpark. But Whit Merrifield overall has hit well in this ballpark, no home runs. Kevin Kiermaier, just 12 for 61. That's a 197 batting average career in this ballpark. Remember, he played all those years in Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay and Florida. The Major League Baseball had them play each other every single year, of course. So he's got a lot of experience in this ballpark. Now, he's the only Blue Jay that I can certainly remember anyway that has homered in this ballpark. 2 of those 12 hits for Kiermaier have left the building here in Miami. The Marlins 21-13 at home. Is that good? 11-2 run. Yeah, the last 13 home games for the Marlins, they've won 11 of those. They've won over the last 21 games in general. They've won 16. 16-5 run, and the offense is nothing special, but the pitching is getting it done. They're coming in off a sweep of the weekend sweep at Washington as well. They have Luis Ariz now. They made that Pablo Lopez trade. This Marlins team, I mean, there's no offense to speak of, but just an absolute ton of pitching, right? That's been their calling card for a while now. And remember, they made that trade in the offseason. Pablo Lopez, who goes to Minnesota, they re-up with him as well. Minnesota makes him their ace, as well they should. He's very good. They trade Luis Ariz. Luis Ariz is hitting 388 for the Miami Marlins. 388. Over the last month, he's hitting 398. Oh my God. Like what? Oh my absolute goodness. They have Brian De La Cruz. He's number 2 on their team in batting average. He's at 270. Have you ever seen that before in your life? Ariz leads the team at 388. De La Cruz is at 270. There's over 100-point difference in the batting average between the first and second from the Miami Marlins. If you've seen that before, drop a comment and let me know. I've never heard of this before. It's also feast or famine for the long ball. You have a Soler, the World Series hero, Jorge Soler from a few years back with Atlanta. Well, he's in Miami now. He leads their team with 20 long balls. I mean, is that going to work? 20 for Soler? Holy moly. Second on their team, Garrett Cooper at 8. So you have Soler at 20. The Marlins don't even have anybody else in double digits. They are not any sort of offensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, and which hopefully is yet another good thing for Jose Berrios. And I say yet another good thing for Jose Berrios because he's looking for his 9th straight start where he lowers his ERA. Speaking of things I've never seen before, so he's had 8 straight starts, Jose Berrios, where he has lowered his ERA. Is that good? Holy moly. Blue Jays 7-1 over those 8 games. This is Jose Berrios. Part of the reason for the bald head, right, is 2022 Jose Berrios, how bad he was after that extension. Remember, of course, we know the story, right? Blue Jays way early did a huge re-up with Jose Berrios, and 2022 was the first season of that, or at least the first season where we saw what he was going to look like as a full-time Blue Jay for years to come, and it was ugly. Holy moly. Remember now, his ERA was, this season alone, was over 11 in his first 2. So remember Berrios' first 2 starts of the season? He drilled at Kansas City. He's drilled at the Angels. Since then, his ERA is all the way down to 3.28. That's a career best. Like, can we take a second here? Take that in for a minute here. Jose Berrios, worst ERA in baseball last season. He's currently 13th best. If he has another great start tonight, he'll move into the top 10 for ERA. Are you absolutely kidding me? Last season, he was the worst in all of baseball. This season, he's on the verge of moving into the top 10. And since those first 2 starts as well, by the way, where he got drilled at Kansas City and drilled at the Angels, he's had a dozen starts. Blue Jays 9-3 in those starts. Blue Jays are winning when Jose Berrios is on the mound. Toronto Blue Jays lost Jose Berrios' first 4 road starts. They've won all 5 of them of his road starts since. He's only ever had 1 career start in Miami. He was stellar, so hopefully a lot more of that tonight, right? No current Marlin has ever homered off Berrios. Ariz is 3 for 10. That's a 300 average. No surprise there. But the rest of the Marlins combined just 8 for 45. That's a 178 average against Jose Berrios. He's allowed just 1 home run. How about this for Berrios? He's allowed just 1 home run in his last 4 games. It was a solo home run, so it didn't even do damage from Alec Bregman of the Houston Astros a few starts back. Now, last season, there were 5 pitchers in all of baseball. 5 in all of baseball. So Jose Berrios was the 6th worst pitcher for giving up home runs. 6th worst pitcher last season. This season, he's tied for 88th worst. Holy moly. In total, there are just dozens and dozens. And last season, there were 5 pitchers worse than Berrios for the long ball. This season, there's dozens and dozens and dozens. I'm beyond impressed. A fastball is still presenting an issue, right? We'd have to be honest about that. But he is using it less and less, and it's the sinker. The sinker has taken massive steps forward this season, and the slurve has always been good. Even last season, even that horrible 2022, the slurve was still really good. It just couldn't be as effective because none of the other pitches were good at all. He was off with everything, right? In particular with his location. Hasn't been the case this season. Another step forward, how about his changeup? Jose Berrios' changeup is night and day to what we saw last season, in particular against lefties. That changeup's becoming a strikeout pitch for Jose Berrios this season against lefties. It would have been Edward Cabrera, the 6'5 righty on the mound for the Marlins, and he's been dominant at home. So Blue Jays catching a break there. His last start out, he got hurt. He landed on the injured list. So very likely going to be a bullpen day for the Miami Marlins here tonight. We'll likely see the Marlins start with righty Brian Hoying tonight. That's a second-year player. This will only be his fourth time he's ever made a start. Again, just be more like the opener. I don't think we'll see many innings from him. Hoying he throws mainly hard sinkers and sliders. He'll mix in a fastball. He'll mix in a curve, but he tries to live at the bottom of the strike zone. Is when he's effective, he's generating a lot of ground balls, but his sinker is often elevated and could be the pitch tonight to be dealt with. It's Yuri Perez tomorrow and then Sandy on Wednesday. I mean, Blue Jays need to take advantage of this Marlins injury, of this Marlins bullpen game. Need Jose Berrios to just keep doing what he's been doing. This should definitely be a win tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now let's finish off our all-Canadian team. So that's Canadians that have played for the Toronto Blue Jays with Rob Butler.
And it's funny, my first at-bat in the Sky Dome was against Paul Quantrill. And it was another long at-bat. I fouled off a bunch of pitches. And then I got a little bloop single that scored a run, too. I got an RBI on that at-bat. Next at-bat, he throws it at my head. He almost kills me, like decapitates me.
Wow.
Like and that was the first time a guy had like really come at me like that, where it was like totally on purpose. Like he was sending me a message. You know what I mean?
And of all people, it's your fellow countryman.
Exactly. But it's funny because guys who are like that, I remember talking to him about it. He's like, Rob, I don't really remember doing that. But I do know that, like in the moment when guys got hit off me, and there's some sort of extra standing like ovation for him, because I got a big standing ovation for that. Like it made him mad, right? So I kind of probably remembered that in my psyche and was like, I'm gonna brush this guy back this time. I don't care who he is or what he is. Like something's going on here. He's paying the price. Luckily for me, I got out of the way, and I got to live another day. But that was my whole control moment.
I'm talking to a blank screen. I'm talking to the framed picture behind you. If you don't get out of the way that particular day, is that it, Rob? Yeah. Okay. And then finally, of course, the closer. And Rob, I'm interested to hear you talk about this guy because I think it encompasses everything you were talking about. Now, not necessarily the who taught you to play baseball because it's so different this day and age, but the whole Jordan Romano must be fielding phone calls and texts left, right, and center. Where am I sitting? Where the tickets? Like he must be really up against it. But of course, he's got to be the closer, right, Rob? Like he is awesome.
Oh yeah, no, he's Jordan Romano. My God, like talk about a guy who's had to overcome things. Like the Blue Jays, like released him twice, I think.
True, true.
He got taken into Rule 5, I believe, and then got offered back. And I don't even think the Blue Jays wanted him. It was so
how incredible is that? How incredible is that? Yeah,
like
that's incredible.
It was odd. It's funny. Him and his brother came to my old batting cage back when they were little kids. He probably doesn't even remember, but the Romanos came to my cage back in the day, and they mostly worked on their hitting, but a little bit of pitching with me and Nigel Wilson and my brother. Used to run a batting cage called Home Run Baseball Academy, and they came there, and he there was no expectation that he would ever throw like 98, 99 miles an hour. Wow. It's just incredible, like what he's become. He's got his quirky things about him. That's probably why he's so successful. You know what I mean? It's because he's got these quirks. He's got this thing in his brain that keeps him like in the moment and able to relax and do it. You know what I mean? I don't think that he would be able to be as good as he was if he didn't have all of his little antics that he does and. A typical kind of quirky Canadian. That's another thing that we're really good at. We're kind of weird and different. And for sure he is. But that's what makes him so special. And I just know that, playing in Toronto, not really being wanted by your team, getting sent away, not really wanting them to come back. But the Blues are okay, let's give them another chance. Guys getting injured and kind of getting thrown in there. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this guy's getting guys out. And, he probably got like one opportunity to be a closer in the game. And, whoever was the manager at that time, I don't know if Gibby was still around or was gone by then. This guy's got potential to be a closer. Like he challenges the hitters, he's aggressive, he's got 3 good pitches that work. You know what I mean? And has that whole mental crazy makeup in his mind to be a closer because the closer is the toughest. if you're not winning a World Series without a closer. No, I don't believe there's a team in history that has ever won without their closer, right? Tom Henke, Dwayne Ward, all these. Every team has their guy that closes the game, and it is one of probably the hardest job on the baseball team, right? To sit around and wait and then come in and be ultra intense and like be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're done. You're going to lose. So for him to be able to overcome all those things he has overcome, an all-star, probably going to be an all-star for years to come Jordan Romano is like he's history in the making, man. Like we haven't had a Canadian closer like him ever.
Yeah.
Right. He's the first guy, and to do it in Toronto's hometown, that is so incredibly hard and difficult. And most people overlook it, but he for sure has those distractions as well. And he's able to deal with all that. He's got some sort of cocoon that he can kind of keep everything out, and he survives and does really well.
So impressive. Wow. Rob Butler, pro baseball _Rob. What an absolute blast talking throwback Blue Jay memories with, and some current, right? Jordan Romano. That's current. Of course. Yes. Now, Rob, talk to us about, we'll get you out of here as you talk to us about the new venture that you're up to right now. Toronto Maple Leaf Baseball, very cool. I wanted to tell you that my parents used to love going and watching you guys play for be involved with the Maple Leafs before. And now you're really involved with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Rob, talk to us about what you're doing with the Maple Leafs and the International League in general. Would you say this is AA, AAA caliber? How would you describe this?
Well, if Jack Dominica was still alive, he'd tell you they were better than the Toronto Blue Jays. They were a major league team.
Yes. That was
no
Jack.
seats, right? You got to sit on a hill to watch the game. But I grew up watching the Maple Leafs as well. Like I watched Bill Bykowski and all these old guys who played in the league, and Randy Curran. These guys were just incredible baseball players who never got a chance to play professional baseball. And these, it's a fun league. It's competitive. Pro guys play in it. Me and my brother played in it. Spoley played in it.
Well, Jared too, yeah.
Jesse Orozco played in it. Like there's so many guys that have played pro, or Peter Orr played there first and went to pro from there, got to the major leagues. It's a great fun league. It's ultra competitive. I got asked to coach basically 1 month before the season started. Their old manager decided not to do it anymore. So I guess they wanted an old salty veteran, like league of their own, Dugan coming in to manage the team for some reason, pro guy. But it's something I've always wanted to do for sure, 100%. I love doing it. I love playing in the league. I think my brother has the highest batting average of all time in the league.
Wow.
We had a blast playing there. We got to play against a lot of guys that played with on Team Canada. Barry Petrochenko, Randy Curran. I got to play with Spoley. But ultimately, it is definitely like there's so many pro guys in the league that is for sure I would say a more low level A league. You know what I mean? It's not. I wouldn't give them too much credit to be more AA because that's a hard league to play at. AA is a definitely hard level baseball to play at. You're so close to the majors. But you come and watch Salazzo play, and you watch the Mara brothers play, and Sammy Green pitch, and Daniel Procopio pitch. I mean, these guys look like they're pros. I mean, they're throwing 90 miles an hour, hitting massive home runs. Like Salazzo looks like he should be in the big leagues right now, right? It's so much fun to watch them play. And I think what I just bring to them is just, a calm, cool atmosphere about it. I don't put pressure on them. I have fun. I still feel like I'm a player. So that's why I enjoy coaching, because I can kind of still be in that moment and what they're feeling and their emotions are. And I have so much respect for the baseball players. I don't make it about, it's never about me. It's always about them, which is the most important thing. I really don't even want to be noticed on the field. So, but I'm right there giving the forearm bashes, the Jose Canseco and
Nice.
Mark forearm bash, and trying to manage the pitching. I'm learning so much about how to manage pitchers and, older guys' perspective on playing and their emotions and their egos. And it's been a blast so far, man. And the team's playing really well. And, I can't wait for Friday for our next game. I'm going to London. Nice. It's going to be fun.
By the way, Rob, you look like, and you're in your 50s, and somehow you look like you could give a few plate appearances as we speak. Like you're looking in great shape out there, no?
Well, you know what? I think my mom, who still does 5 miles a day. She's 73 years old. My dad's 75, turned 76. They do 5 miles a day together in Newfoundland.
Wow.
And my mom's got that beautiful mohawk skin. She doesn't have a wrinkle on her face. I don't know, man. Like I know I don't dye my hair. My hair is still brown. So I'm pretty lucky. I'm 53 years old. My wife still loves me. So I'm doing something right.
Well done. Well done. I don't think I've run 5 miles in my life, and your 75-year-old parents are doing it daily. Okay, great. Okay, let's get out of here on that. Rob, what an absolute blast this was. Thank you so much for your time. Again, the pro baseball _Rob. But is there anything else on social media, Rob, that you want to promote and let the good people know about?
Not really. I'm not a big. I mean, I do summer camps every year. I've been doing summer camps for 20 years. I got a really good summer camp over at Durham College, all turf field.
Awesome.
For kids 13 and under. You're hanging out with pros all day long. I do all the instruction. I'm there all day. We have a blast. We do home run derbies. But other than that, I'm just, I love baseball, man. I grew up loving baseball. I'm so glad the Blue Jays came to Canada. I've always wanted to be a Blue Jay, and
Nice.
I got lucky to be one. My brother got to be one. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that, man. I'm so lucky to be Canadian. I grew up in a great country. I got to play in the Olympics for my country. I've really done anything that you want to do as a baseball player. From top to bottom. Growing up in East York and playing with all my buddies back, in the day, and they taught me how to be tough and how to, be, there for your teammates. That was our motto in East York. You know what I mean? You fight for us, right? That's the way we did it. And I don't know. I've been really lucky with my baseball life, so I'm pretty proud.
Awesome, Rob. Thanks so much for the time. I hope we can do this again soon.
Yeah, I will. 100%. I'd come back anytime.
That's a wrap for Monday's Locked On Blue Jays. Keep in mind, you can catch tonight's game on SiriusXM. Locked On Blue Jay Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and keep it locked on the Locked On Podcast Network, and check out Sully hosting Locked On MLB. Go Jays, go, and we'll talk tomorrow.